Hi, welcome to Gospel with Greg, and in the video today I'm going to be talking about Christian ethics on social media jealousy. So this is video 2 in my series I'm doing within Gospel with Greg, where I talk about applying Bible teachings to issues in the 21st century to show that Bible teachings are relevant for today and they ultimately are true, despite criticisms that say that they're outdated. So with social media, it can be a great thing as it lets people connect that would not normally be able to do that, and it can be a great ministry tool. You know, I can testify to that. That social media allows me to do these types of videos, and I have actually gotten comments from people from other countries that I would have never been able to meet in person, so it can be a great thing. But there can also be some issues that arise from social media in the form of social media jealousy, for instance. And this can take the form of a lot of people will only post about the good times in their life, and that can make it seem to others like they don't have any other people don't have any problems while they do. So it can give kind of a distorted view. And the Bible gives a fantastic perspective and remedy on this particular issue through its teachings on jealousy and coveting, and other verses as well that maybe you wouldn't think would be tied into this. So this is going to tie into my previous video where I did a part 2 to my singleness video. I actually alluded to this video in that one where I talked about how social media can cause certain people to maybe look at people that post about their relationships and they'll say, oh, everybody's in happy relationships and I'm not. So that can be a specific application of this issue. So first of all, what the Bible says about coveting in general, because that can be the big issue of social media jealousy. If they have this and I want it, I feel like I should have it too. So one of the biggest verses, maybe the biggest verse on coveting in the Bible is Exodus 20:17, that says, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's." And so, of course, that's part of the Ten Commandments, and it essentially tells us to not covet what other people have, and gives multiple examples. So it elaborates and says that we should not covet someone else's animals, their home, their servants, or their wife as examples. The points about servants, homes, and wives are particularly good points that speak to social media jealousy, because people posting pictures of their fancy material possessions like their home, all the people in their social bubble and their significant other can tempt people to be jealous, and the Bible tells us to not give in to that type of temptation. So pretty good examples of what it gives of what we shouldn't covet and be jealous of. There's also the passage Matthew chapter 20 verses 1 through 16. I also covered this in my last video about singleness, and that's relevant to that topic and this one, because you see that in that parable of the 3 laborers in the vineyard, that the first laborer had a type of jealousy of the other 2 laborers of, oh, I came to work sooner, I worked longer, why are we paid the same? So he was fine to work for that price he agreed to, but became discontent when he took his eye off what was his and compared that to what others had. And he was ultimately told basically to not be concerned with what they had and to take what was his. And so that speaks to this a lot, because we may be content with what we have until we see someone on social media post something that they have, and that makes us want more material things or relationships or what have you, that we originally maybe we didn't even want. So that leads into what the Bible says we should do to avoid that kind of jealousy mindset. Firstly, go to Colossians 3:14. It says, "And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness." This tells us that we should really be focusing on the things of God, which are the most important things. It also generally teaches us that we should have proper perspective, even when we just focus on our earthly lives. Can we really say it's healthy to make your top priority competing with other people on social media to see who can get the most fancy things or social relationships that look good to other people but are actually maybe superficial, particularly if you're pursuing them for superficial reasons. And ultimately, when you think of that, you would say, no, it's not very healthy for your chief concern in life to be trying to outdo people on social media or who can have the fanciest things to show off. It would really make for a bad life to put this above making sure you have a job to support yourself and to take care of your basic needs. And so, like that verse said, ultimately put on charity and would mean love. You can see in certain, in the King James, that charity refers to love, and so ultimately, like I said, focus on what's important and the things of God. The next verse that touches on this is Philippians 4 verse 8, and it says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things." And so this verse encourages us to focus on positive things and not dwell on the negative. So someone that follows this verse would not sit around and think about how they don't have the glamorous things that other people on social media do. There are times where I'll admit I gave too much thought to something that was really trivial, or would let myself get over frustrated about something, and I can't tell you how many times my dad would start to quote this to me. So and that's because it absolutely speaks to that issue, and it is a verse we do need to remember. Next, there is John 13:34 that says, and this is Jesus speaking, "A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another." So this verse encourages us to show Christ-like love towards other people and to care about them. And this is very helpful to deal with social media jealousy, as loving other people and seeing them as fellow beings that are loved by God and created in His image, instead of people to compete with, will help us be more happy for them when we see that something good happened to them rather than feeling jealous of them. So, if someone something great happens in their life. If we have a friend or family member that maybe they get a promotion at work and we didn't, or something of that like, we shouldn't be jealous of them. We should say, I'm happy that my friend, got that promotion at work that he deserved. And I think when we show Christ-like love, that kind of tills the ground for us to have that happiness for them rather than jealousy because we don't also have whatever it is they got. There's also 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 4. It says, charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up. And so again, charity referring to love. And this verse specifically tells us what pure love looks like, and that involves not being envious. So I'll share some examples from my life where I have dealt with social media jealousy. So I've dealt with a form of that in the past. There were times where I would see that people were getting more attention on their posts than I was on mine for stuff that I considered less important. Of course, that was my opinion. So when I would have something like a college graduation and would post something about that, and I would get kind of annoyed if I saw someone else post something about them getting engaged or getting married, and that got more likes and comments, because my thinking on it was, I would think, so many people get married and engaged, but what I did is less common, or something like that. So why is their post getting more likes and comments? And that was such a trivial thing to get upset about. And I was really, to be honest, I was treating my opinions like they were absolute facts, of like, it is an absolute fact that what I posted about is more important. And so really the jealousy, the social media jealousy I was experiencing really skewed my thinking, and it really limited how happy I could feel for them when they were clearly in a situation where it called for support and to be happy for them. And so implementing these teachings definitely helps. And something I have tried as well, this might be something you can try if you deal with this issue, is you don't necessarily have to delete all your social media accounts, but I've gone through times before where I felt like if I checked it too much, or I was just too obsessed with, every little thing I saw, I'm like, why does that get more likes than mine, or whatever. Maybe delete the apps. And then just go directly to the website. That'll encourage you to not check it all the time. If you have a bad habit of every 5 minutes checking social media, doing it that way to where you just log in through the website, maybe that would help you be in a situation where it's like, okay, I'll check my notifications in the morning and then I'm done with it the rest of the day. So I've seen that be beneficial for me in the past. So if you struggle with that, that might be something that can help you. So overall, the Bible has excellent teachings to help us deal with social media jealousy by telling us that we shouldn't be jealous of what others have. Shows us that when we do become discontent, what can happen, and tells us that we should have proper perspective in life on what's important and care about others and support them. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, God bless.